Welcome to the Perpetual Growth Podcast with Zach Palmer, the show where we explore the strategies, insights, and stories that empower you to grow your business, strengthen your relationships, and elevate your health. Because growth isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become along the way. Now, today, I am thrilled to welcome my friend, Steve Ramona. Steve is the host of the Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, a super connector legacy builder and podcast business mentor. So let's dive in and take another step on your journey to perpetual growth.
And join me in welcoming my friend, Steve Ramona. Steve, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. I'm excited to kick off. For our audience that does not know you, if you wouldn't mind, let's just, I want to give you the floor. Share a little bit about your professional journey, some of the struggles, the highlights, the turning points, those big moments that have led you to where you are today.
Well, thank you for having me on. And we've talked podcasts. So as I told him before the show, and I'll tell the audience I'm excited he has a podcast because this guy is good. He gets it. It started at 18 years old. Got done with high school, going to go to community college, go to school, but more importantly, play football. That was my whole goal. I never got past 5'8", so my goal stopped right there. God says, okay, football is not where you're going. But we launched a health club business, and we've talked about things I know you were in as well. Mm-hmm. But I got blessed because I'm working behind the front desk, and people are walking in 40, 50, 60, 35, whatever, very successful people that were not my peers. It was scary. Because my cousin, who's the president, is like, hey, we got to treat these people right. Customer service. So I'd be, hey, Joe, have a great workout. Hey, Joe, talk to you later. Debbie, have a great workout. Debbie, have a great day. And then a month or two in, it's, Debbie, how's your granddaughter? Joe, how was your vacation? Oh, my God, Steve. And we'd spend a couple minutes and people would come in. I realized at 18, 19 years old, I'm building these relationships. And then they're taking me out to lunch. I'd see them out to dinner. They'd buy me a drink. Well, I wasn't drinking at the time, but later on during this whole time, I'm building this network without realizing it, of very successful people. And I got lots of resources and tips. And one quick story is Tony, this Italian guy who'd come in, call me Kid. Hey, Kid, how you doing? I said, great, Tony, what's going on? He threw me a book. It was called The Wealthy Barber. He said, read this. I'll be back Tuesday to work out. I'm going to ask you what it's all about. So make sure you read it. And Italian guy, even though he was short, he had that Godfather-like voice. So Tuesday comes in and right away, Kid, you read it? I said, yeah. Okay, what's it say? So you're saying in the book, you're probably telling your clients 10% of my income, put it away, don't touch it. That's it, Kid, you got it. Left, Empire Bay. He left the club 4 or 5 years later, but I still had his number. And 10 years later, I was 28 years old. You get one of those, Zach, these thoughts, I got to do something. And I looked at the account that I was throwing money in, $68,000 in my hands that I could do what I want with it. I'm like, wow. So I call him. I still had his number and I told him the story. He goes, Kid, I'm so glad you listened to me. And I said, let me send you $1,000. Even though he was retired, I'm just saying, I know you're that way too. It's like, hey, I owe you. You don't give me this tip, I don't make the money. And it was a huge lesson I learned. He goes, Kid, most people didn't listen to me. People lost millions of dollars because they wouldn't save like I told them. You did. You actually compensated me by me serving you and following through. I'm sure I had a bunch of stuff come in my life. Maybe a millionaire, a new client. Something happened in my life why I'm so successful today because you listened. And I went, holy mackerel. There's something to this serving without being transactional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. So one man, one conversation, one book that you chose to read. It's kind of funny today, at least to me, the number of people that don't take the time to invest in themselves through the ultimate pleasure of learning, self-education. And not only learning, and it's one thing to read for entertainment, it's a whole other thing to read for actual growth, to apply the tools and strategies from the people that have taken the time to write down their wisdom and publish it and share it with the world, which is no simple feat. I mean, it's getting easier today, not necessarily cheaper, but easier. And, for you, that was a major turning point. Where did that lead to next? I mean, it's one thing to put a significant amount of money aside and, that amount of money also. I mean, to some people, they hear 68,000, they're like, oh, that's chump change. So to other people, they're like, wow, $68,000, that's an incredible amount. Now, regardless of where you are, we can all appreciate the morality, the lesson in what you did. Where did that take you from there? Because I have to
And
suspect that was one of many mentors
oh,
that have come your way.
it absolutely is a stepping point. My cousin was, who I'd mentioned. My dad was at the time. And perspective, this is 1988. $68,000. None of my friends had even close to that saved. Maybe a
Oh,
few
yeah.
$1,000s. I became a lottery winner. And
Yeah.
I love what you said, and nobody's mentioned it. So kudos to you, and that's why I love you as a host, is that I took the action.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 18, 19 years old. How many of us, you, me, it's a stupid Italian guy. I'm just going to say I read the book, but no, I knew he was going to grill me. Part of it was me being fearful. He would rip me. But you're right, the action taking, not just saying yes, but taking the action. But what I realized, so that was 10 years. We closed 10 years later, we sold. So I was around 38. So I went and launched a company. Actually, excuse me, one of the members in my network, because I've built this massive network now, because I met people for 20 years walking through the gym. And so we sold. I didn't have a job. First time, 20 years, what am I going to do? I don't have a resume. I worked at a health club. I was director of operations, but I didn't have any background.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the members reached out and said, hey, I'm launching a restaurant. You want to come help me? I said, I know nothing about it. Let's try it. Here's the powerful thing of perpetual growth. That's why I love your podcast. So we were a small 8-table, 5-counter restaurant, really small, but
Mm-hmm.
nice. Months in, I went, hey, Jim, who's the owner, I said, I'm going to reach out to my health club members, tell them we've launched the restaurant. Within weeks, we were packed, line out the door. Our growth was massive. In 6 months, my gym's coming, oh my God, there's so much money in this still. And then what I would do to bring value to grow is every Monday I'd start taking emails. And this is back in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I just send emails. Hey guys, we're having tilapia this week. We're having lobster tail. We're a fish restaurant, whatever it may be. And that spurred our growth. Fridays and Saturdays, it was like a party there. I started learning, first build your network right, bring value, build relationships, don't be transactional. And you go back to that network and build another opportunity. Or if your opportunity changes or whatever it may be. Then after that, I launched a recycling company. We didn't last too many years. A few years, and he had to go off and do something else. Same thing. So I'm doing computer and electronic recycling. Went out to my whole database of members from the restaurant now that I've met and the health club. Within 6 months, I had $250,000 in the bank account. Me and two other guys. I only had 2-person staff, but people kept bringing me stuff. How could I help you? I was doing events to raise money for schools. Here I had referrals like crazy. And let's go back. It's because I took care of people, treat them right, had fun with them, all that. So every opportunity you could just start growing with it. How many people want to jump in a business and they got $250,000 in the bank? Everybody raising their hand. But what I learned, and this is the downfall of all this, I've done millions in partnerships. So we've talked about that. I'm like, God, I'm struggling here financially. And I met this gentleman doing millions and millions of dollars a year in his business. And he wakes up serving, goes to bed. They said, that's what I'm doing. I give people referrals and I go, hey, Jim, you're good. Yeah, you're actually putting your hand up saying you're good. So don't do that, because that's that universal message of stop. But what he told me blew me away. It was a game changer. It was a game changer for all you in the audience. He said, Steve, you can give, but remember, you just gave him gifts. They're truly gifts. Here's $2,000. I've given you referrals. Here's gifts. When you tell people no, it's not consciously they go, oh, he's an a-hole. I gave him these gifts. He's not taking them. It's the subconscious, which we've talked about, is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not going to refer you. You're not going to make money. And most importantly, the universe goes, sorry, Steve, we're cutting you off.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I took action, again, like I read the book, flourishing. I met Josh, who's a friend of ours. I've met you. I met great people. But now I'm asking, hey, by the way, here's some introduction. By the way, how about this? Can I help you with this? Do you have an affiliate program? And $1,500 is showing my account. $300, $10,000, because I asked where I wasn't doing it before.
Mm. Ask for what you want. There's several powerful lessons I heard in there. One thing that I want to point out that stuck out to me was a message that one of my mentors had shared with me a long time ago. And he said, most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And I think one of the really critical factors is, you're not saying, hey, I went out, I intentionally went out to try and meet these people with this specific outcome that I knew I was going to create in the future. You had 20 years where you were just simply building relationships and you didn't know what they were going to mean yet. But you knew that at some point it would lead to something greater. And it wasn't coming from a place of self-serving. It was coming from an absolute place of doing business with a servant's heart, which I absolutely love and appreciate. So there's one, the timeline aspect of it. We tend to rush success. And obviously, if you run to success, or if you're trying to run to success, you're going to, if you try to, now I'm going to forget my own saying. If you try to rush success, you're going to run to failure.
Yeah.
We cannot control the speed. I mean, we can influence it, but we can't necessarily control the speed at which we achieve the things that we ultimately desire. So there's a lot of power in patience as long as there's consistent execution that's moving alongside it. That in addition to the fact that we're consistently building relationships, and when they're built on the backbone of genuine philanthropy, of genuine caring, of being present, of wanting to get to know not just what's going on in the other people's business, but in their lives, that's a really, really powerful tool and vehicle. And then also being willing to lean into what's uncomfortable. It's like you went to work at the restaurant. Like, I had no experience working in a restaurant whatsoever. Most people would go, why would you do that? That's not your skill set, your expertise. But I've always found the thing that I don't want to do is the thing that I need to do the most. If it scares me, I'm 10 times more likely to run toward it now. And it's another thing one of my mentors said to me. It's like, I've trained my mind to the point where I don't want to negotiate with myself. It's like, I don't want to get in that cold plunge. Nobody wants to jump in 34-degree water, but I know how I'm going to feel after. So instead of walking up and going, oh, I don't feel like it today, it's really cold outside, I walk up and I just get my ass right in that pool. And you took that same plunge when you jumped into the restaurant business. And every one of those lessons also led to new opportunities. And I'm sure there were plenty of challenges that came along the way. One question I have to go back to, the Italian. I can't get this out of my mind, so I have to ask. What was it? There had to have been something that you recognized in this individual other than the Godfather-like intimidation. And I get that because my fiance is Italian and the whole family dynamic. I understand. And well, I won't say it because it's not politically correct, but I'm referred to in a very specific way in the family. So it's funny now, but it was terrifying at the beginning. But the main point was, there had to have been something about that individual when he handed you that book that you either recognized at a conscious level or unconscious level that caused you to read it outside of the fear. What did you see in him? Was it the car that you noticed him drive, like pulling the parking lot in? Was it the way he was dressed? Was it how he communicated with other people? Was it that he took the time to stop and talk to you, the kid at the front desk? What was the thing that made you go, I need to follow through on this?
It's a great question. Nobody's asked me, and I've done over 250 shows. Big kudos to you as a host, because that's a great question. Mm-hmm. It was in the amongst of building relationships, I was having fun with them. I was connecting with them. I understood him. I knew about his family. I knew where he was going. And it's like, audience, think about your friends that you're really, maybe five inner circle, whatever you want to call it. You always want to help. My best friend just called me. We were just talking about help him. He became my best friend in a sense at that club. I had many best friends. People would laugh because they'd say, if you got married, Steve, you have to reserve the baseball stadium for the San Francisco Giants Candlestick Park because you know 30,000 people. Probably half, pretty much true. But it was building that relationship because what did I build? Trust with him. I knew he's giving me a book, not to waste my time, but he truly wanted to help me. So I think that's where you're going with this. It's that relationship with him. Now, if somebody I just seen 2 or 3 times said, here's a book to read, I wouldn't have read it. I don't know them. I don't know their reasoning for me to read it. Well, I knew right away they gave me the book, read it and get back to me. I knew it's something to do because I knew he's in finances. Again, building a relationship. I knew about Tony. I knew what he was about, and I had a lot more trust. And then the risk is, hey, if I don't read, he beats me up, and we still love each other. We move on.
Yeah.
Verbally, he doesn't do it physically, but that's a great question. And I'm going to add something. It's funny. I heard this in church. My pastor said this. You talked about time. It's why we really connect. Doesn't matter age. The Navy SEALs have this line or this tagline: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I knew you'd know that. Smooth is fast. Again, audience, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And you know what, Zach? If the Navy SEALs live by that, by God, I'm gonna, because they have the most dangerous job in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and again, it's one of those things. It pertains to every single part of our lives. You can't rush better health. You can't rush a better relationship. You can't rush a greater connection with God, the creator, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I mean, whatever the context, the only way that we can really be open to receiving, I believe, is through consciousness, which requires presence. And, most of the things that we're running toward, who made that decision for you? It's like, I should have done this. I should have accomplished this by this age in my life. Who wrote that rule book?
Nobody.
You made it up. Somebody told you that, and at some point in your life, you believe them. And that belief now creates this metaphorical prison where we either feel like shit because we haven't done certain things, or maybe we feel really proud of ourselves because we have. And either one can breed certain levels of complacency. So it's really important to constantly analyze that rule book. Another thing I'm curious about too, and this is a little bit of a selfish question, but I think about all of the, and I know it's going to benefit the audience too. I'm just playing, but I think about all of the people that I've met over the years, and early in my career, I hardly left the town that I was born and raised in, so I've got a ton of great relationships from this one little tiny corner of the northwest part of the United States. And then over the last 5 years, that's expanded geometrically, or globally, I really should say. And one of the things that I know for me is kind of an unsettling feeling, or almost feels daunting, is like, how do I remember all these incredible people? Because to me, if I'm not consciously aware of them, and there's an opportunity for me to put them in front of somebody else that could either help with them with the stage that they're at, or that they could help with the stage or challenge that they're going through at this place in their life, I'm doing a disservice to the greater good. So, you threw out that number, 30,000, and even if it's a fraction of that, it's still a big number. When you have prided yourself on building these relationships and from a place of genuine love and caring, how is there a system, either consciously or unconsciously? What have you done to maintain that list, so to speak? Like, what does that look like for you?
This can be a weird answer, but part of it is the universe. The cream comes to the top, meaning those people I've really connected with that I can help, and I can help anybody. Honestly, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I can help anybody because I want to. Not that I should, and I love your should. I want to. Now, how much that be? It might be, hey, maybe I can connect to you. It might be very little, or it might be a lot. But when you serve, there's no scoreboard. Yeah. I give you 3 referrals, you give me 4. Take that out of your mindset. It's just the action of serving. So the other thing that I do, I use Notion and the software to do that, but I get 3 referrals daily or more for the last 20 months. I just got a referral last month from somebody I met last year. I haven't talked to him for a year. So this bringing law of increase, bringing people value, serving them, they don't forget, because that first touch with me is, hey, I'm going to twist this around. What's your challenges? Let's always ask everybody, well, you need more people here. Let me show you a little tip that I've shared with others. And we all are human. When we feel that somebody's given us something, you're top of mind most of the time. Or go, Steve Ramona, Zach Palmer, he did that, he did this. The other thing about all this is the universe doesn't tell us how, when, or where serving ROI comes from. And that's the fault a lot of people have. It's like, okay, and you're coaching and sales and all that, and it's very important. If I want 10,000 a month, I need to do this. That's extremely important. But please do not do that when you're serving. Just bring as much value as you can, give it to them, ask for something. If they can't give you something, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And here's another big tip I learned. You're going to love this in sales. So you have a program. Let's say I have a coaching program. It's $10,000. I pitched Joe Smith. I love you, Steve, but I don't have the money. Maybe in 6 months, I can do that. That's hard to do. We're a human. It's hard to say no. Here's what you do as the person making that offer. Well, Joe, that's okay. Let's reconnect in a month or so, whatever we decide. But you know what? As you were talking, I'm going to introduce you to Zach Palmer because I think he can help you in this area. After you get a no from them, shower them with more service, more value. You know what happens? 6 months turns into 6 weeks or 3 weeks, and you get that email or that call. Again, it comes to that cream to the top. Go, I'm ready to go. I didn't have the money. I found it, but I've got to work with you, Zach Palmer, because I'm always bringing value. My ask was be my client. Wasn't ready yet. When you ask and they're not ready, that's fine. I've asked a number of people to be sponsors for my podcast. They've said that no problem. If you know anybody, I'd love to work with them. Done. That's how we should do sales. Part of it.
I agree. I won't dive into it, but I love that.
You taught me some of that too.
I love. It's probably why that ideology resonates at such a high level. No, I'm just kidding. I did think it's just straight from your heart. There's something that I wonder if the listeners might be thinking as they're listening to this conversation too, because I think that there may be a really unique dichotomy in here. And part of it is the balance between absolute servitude. And I think part of the answer to this question comes in that. It's what are you leading with? But there's the balance of servitude. But also earlier you talked about at some point, it became wise for me to determine if the people I'm referring to have some kind of referral programs. If they offer a commission, some kind of a kickback, so the dichotomy is if I'm leading with service, but I also need to put food on my own table, how do you find that balance and ensure that you're maintaining, that you're making the decisions and the introductions that you are from a moral and ethically guided place that's built on doing business from a servant's heart, while acknowledging the fact that you do have to put food on your own table and you have built this incredible network of people that know, like, and trust you, that are experts in their own places. And it's okay to receive for making that introduction if it's something that ends up becoming a business relationship for those 2 points that you connected. I don't know, that may have been a really long-winded question, but do you find that there is... what advice might you give the audience if they're struggling with feeling like there's a polarity between the two and how they might bring the two ideas together?
Great question. Oh my God. I wish more people would ask me that. Again, it's back to the law of increase. And it happened this morning. I had a guy on my show. The guy's fantastic. He's a CTO. And telling me about what he did. I learned about him. And when we got done, he was telling me about some commissions he gives out. He goes, and I gave him a referral, a huge referral. So I've given him the gift. An audience, that opportunity door flies wide open. Hey, Ben, I'd like to be your affiliate. What do I need to? Really? I said, and here's the kicker when you do this affiliate thing. I teach mentor entrepreneurs all the time. It's okay to say, yes, Zach, I'm going to be your affiliate, but add this value add. I am going to go through my network next week, and I'm going to share with you some people I think would be great that need your help, that you bring value to. Not just sign up for that affiliate program, but take action. We've talked about this through this whole show. Take that action and literally go out an hour a week. That's all you need to do every week. Oh, this guy needs to, I got an Zach. Oh, this guy would be perfect. And all you do is the introduction, and that's all it is. If they don't sign up, Zach, you're not going to be mad at me. I've given you referrals. They didn't work out. You didn't, oh man, Steve, that was not a good referral. I didn't. No, it's introduction to open the door for Zach or for whoever. And if it works and they sign up, then I get paid.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a great way to do it.
Now, in a moment, I want to dive into what you're working on now, because you got some pretty exciting stuff coming up that we were chatting about behind the scenes. But before we do, there's one more channel I want to explore on this specific topic, which in today's world, I'm sure you would agree, we've become more socially isolated than ever before. More people are working from home. They're spending less time with friends and family. I remember seeing this active graph where it was like where we used to spend the time, I think starting somewhere around 1950s to today. And it was like, I don't remember what the numbers were specifically, but there was like 50% in the workplace and 40% with family and 30% with friends. And you got health and dogs and church and all the other things. And then there was internet and social media, which was 0%. And you hit 1994, maybe it was the late 80s, and it's like 0.4%. 94, I think it jumped up to like 3 or 4%. And then now it's like 65% of the average person's day is spent on social media, which to me, that illustration was absolutely terrifying. Now, that aside, the main point I'm speaking to is the fact that people tend to get more socially isolated. And if they are feeling that way and they don't necessarily feel like they're an extrovert. Now, what's funny with me is I'm a very extroverted person depending on the room that I'm in. Like I have a tendency to become the loud, the boisterous one that, there's just kind of that group of people that are all having a great conversation or having a really great time. But initially, I'm the one that instinctively wants to go hide in the corner. And I don't know if it's the kid, the old identity from elementary school or like what it was, but I'm not necessarily the one that goes out and sparks those conversations unless I'm consciously aware of the fear and then I go try and lean into it. For the people that are like, okay, I want to build a network, I understand the value, but they're going, where do I start? I don't want to go to the bar, and hang out. Church is a good place, but people kind of tend to be in and out. Maybe it's good to be part of a church group. Where would they go? Is there a method, a strategy to get out of the confines of our house and just start having more of these human to human interactions and connections so that we can start developing more genuine, powerful relationships?
I taught you too well as a podcast host. Half kidding, because I didn't teach you, I helped you. No, it's so beautiful because that's what I hear from people. Okay, Steve, I got 5,500 people in my network. I go to my contact that I literally could call, say, hey, I need help. Can you do this? Whether they do or not is not the point, but they would take my call.
Right.
That's big.
Yeah.
What you start with is going out to places you're comfortable at. If you're a golfer, you're going to have 2 people in a foursome you don't know. You're going to go to church, life groups we have in our church, all those different things, and virtually. Your goal as a business owner, especially an entrepreneur, is meet 10 to 15 new people every week. That's your goal. Me and Josh, we know very well, has taught me that. It's taken off. And January 2020, I was part of a digital business card company, big at the time because we couldn't give out cards. And I went, I really want to grow this business. And I need a lot of people because it wasn't a big commission. It was like $94. So I went to 15 meetings a week, networking group meetings, 15 a week. So it was 3 a day. My whole goal was to meet people. 8 weeks, 500 new people, and not all through the networking groups, but I would meet people, 10 people. They give me through referrals. I'd meet them, and I was the top sales guy in the company in 8 weeks. And they came to me, what the hell are you doing? I'm meeting people. And just bringing them value. Hey, what do you do? How can I help you? And here's a principle I came up with. I don't know if you know this. I came up with it. It's so powerful. It's called the ASLA principle. ASLA. Ask, shut up, listen, ask. And I implemented that those 8 weeks because, and Zach, people go, shut up, of course. Am I listening? Hell no. Just go to your Zoom groups. I'm not saying everybody, but go to a Zoom room and somebody's screen goes black. Maybe they went to the bathroom, maybe a drink of water, maybe somebody's at the door, whatever that may be. But think about it. Are they really listening to what Zach's saying? Are they missing out what Zach's saying? Yes. So be present, and you've used that word. I love presence. Ask, shut up, listen. And then you ask again, hey, what's your challenges? Oh, this. Hey, let me ask you, would you be interested in meeting more people? Can I give you some tips? Yeah. And then it leads to, I'm mentoring them. Now people go, why aren't you a coach? Why? Because that's not what I want to do. That I probably could be good. I could be good at anything. I'm going to leave that up to you, Zach, and other people that do that, because that's what I would do. Hey, you want more coaching? Go see Zach. That's how I've done some referrals. But we should give stuff away for free. We should spend time with people for free. We should mentor for free. And you talked about being an extrovert, introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I do the same thing. And I'm going to be very transparent with you. I'm talking to people all day like you are. When it's off, I turn on my favorite TV show, I pull up a book, and I zone out because I've been talking to people all day.
Mm-hmm.
So use the ASLA principle. Have questions. What are your challenges? Put them right in front of your computer when you meet people.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you're going to know more about those people and help them faster than you think. And an introvert becomes an extrovert because now we have this conversation like me and you having.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing a billionaire told me last year. Steve, when you go in the rooms of people making much more money, much more successful, shut the hell up and listen and learn. And then take that knowledge and then people that you can help. And that's what I do every day. I take the resources they give me, the tips. Like, here's a great tip. Mark Hunter, he's called the sales hunter. I think he's done billions in sales. A well-known sales guy was on my show. He came up with this phrase, ego. I'm like, oh, Mark. He goes, no. You, Steve, are empowering greater outcomes. And I've shared that probably on 20 different shows I've been on. People are like, oh my God, that's great. Let's share these gifts. I've shared stuff you've told me, Zach, in our meetings we've had. Mm-hmm. To be very selfish for a minute, it allows me to be able to help people. As if I know nothing, how am I going to help them? Sorry, you get this. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, very little of what anybody speaks to today is new, is like genuine creation or inspiration. It's an assimilation of things that we've received from all of the people that have been influential in our life, direct relationship or somebody that you saw on TV. It doesn't really matter where the information comes from. It's what we do with it that matters. And I think the greater disservice is having knowledge and wisdom and stories and experiences to share and keeping them to yourself, which we more often than not do out of fear or some ridiculous story like, well, that would be my ego getting in the way. But if we learn to reframe ego in a positive light, then it all depends on how you are utilizing or sharing that gift with the world. So that's a beautiful lesson. I wholeheartedly agree. Steve, as we're getting close to the end of our time here, I want to make sure that I give you ample time to talk to the audience, share with everybody what you got going on, because there's some pretty cool, exciting things that you are doing that are going to be making a massive impact on. I mean, I don't want to sound too out there, but I mean, it's really a massive impact on humanity. So, if you would tell everybody about what's going on.
Thank you, Zach, because it is social impact at its finest. And audience, I'm 63. I've probably been waiting 10 years, and you don't have to do this because I just started really bringing value the last 2 or 3 years. But doing that, meeting people, asking, hey, I need more guests on a podcast, or I'm looking for this, doing what we've been talking about, it led to meeting some people and then partnered up with Josh and Max, my partners, to build an energy company, Nemos Global. And what we're doing is, people don't know, if you don't know, look this up. We're in big trouble because we don't have enough data centers for AI. The power it's pulling is 10 times more the last 18 months than it has been the last 5 to 10 years. So we need more power, and data center guys who bring the data that we could be on Zoom, do all our stuff online, need to increase 2 times by next year, I think is what the guy told us. So we're building these with wind, solar, and hydrogen in land areas and be able to bring power to people. We have developers building 10,000 home developments that are going to have private power, not have to deal with the other power company and paying a lot less. Because we're learning, and it's interesting, get uncomfortable and starting a business like this. Me and you've talked about this many times. Yep. What you learn from it's amazing. Like, I'm in California, Nevada, Idaho, and Utah. Half our power comes from those states because they don't need all the power. Mm-hmm. But what happens with that? You've got all these people in the middle taking their piece. So instead of paying $200 a month for power, we're paying $400, $500, $600. I had a $980 bill for power at another home I was at. It was a bigger home, but $980. People back east go, people in Idaho go, what? Mine's $85. How do you do it? Well, we'll get into that. So we're bringing this power and ability to bring opportunities to a lot of people who have land. A lot of people aren't making a lot with their land or nothing. It's generating zero. They sell it. It's probably not even worth it because it's 5 cents on the dollar. We can come in, take their land, and really become a revenue generator that is millions. Definitely thousands, if not millions.
So, I mean, that's amazing because, one, we are providing much needed or creating opportunities to provide much more power back to the infrastructure that's really helping society grow and thrive today. And I mean, to your point, I don't think a lot of people realize how much power all of the computer systems and hardware and software actually consume today, and how much we are completely dependent on that growth. I mean, the world would shut down otherwise without it. So we have to find ways to sustainably be able to meet those energy consumption needs. And what I liked about what I heard too was, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to lease out this land so that you can go build a coal plant or, natural gas or whatever else. It was hydroelectric, it was solar, and it was wind, which is really powerful. So I love that. I would love to go down the rabbit hole of climate change and all of the new technologies and things that are coming out. But I mean, the simple reality is you guys are leveraging the resources that are at our disposal that are being underutilized. I'm sure some people are thinking, well, that's cool. Okay, now more land's going to get used for power. Is there something that you guys are implementing that is a core component of your mission, your vision, as it pertains to sustainability? I mean, I know for me, and call me what you will, but I think about that all the time. I'm like, whether you believe in climate change or not, whether you think it's man-made or it's cyclical throughout the universe, the reality is, I think everybody agrees at this point that it is happening. And if we don't do something to curb it, it's not going to be many generations before we aren't here anymore. And I frequently think about, I'm not an engineer. I'm like, I don't know how to design the stuff to be able to fix these kind of things. It makes me want to go back to school for engineering. But I hear that this is a component of what you guys are doing. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Just 'cause I'm curious more than anything.
Well, one of the things that we're working with some tribal reservations, we're going to get them jobs, get them money. People that they have casinos are making, they're not. A lot of tribes are struggling financially. There's alcoholism, PTSD, a lot of that happening, which I'm learning. It's all new to me. So there's that social impact. But for example, wind, you're all familiar with the big 600-foot wind turbines, and they're killing animals, 1,000 birds a month, and they're being pulled down. There's lawsuits all over. I think over 100 people removing them or not putting them up because of all the damage they're doing. Well, we have new technology. They're only 30 feet tall. They don't have propellers. It's boxes. So it doesn't affect the environment. It doesn't vibrate. You can literally put this in your backyard because there's no FAA because it's so short. It's only 30 feet.
Right.
And you can paint them. You can make aesthetically pleasing. So now you can put them in parks. And then you can throw a solar panel on top. So that's one thing. And then our hydrogen is turning fossil plants into hydrogen plants. Hydrogen is very safe. Plus, they're bringing in sodium aluminate, which is for steel, helps harden steel and cement, I think. The other thing that it's doing is potable water. So we could actually may have more water. So the people that need more water, we're getting it right from the power. So we get other resources coming from it. So these have been thought out companies that, audience, I'm going to tell you, the only reason this is happening because I built this network. And guess what? Any of you can do it. Reach out to me. I'll tell you how. Me and Zach, I'm going to tell Zach how, because it's just taking care of people. And then something like this comes up, they're not going to bypass you. Hey, Steve. And that's what happened. Hey, I've got this. How can you help me? When we go in my network, boom, 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 boom. Here we are talking about Anemus Global and, potentially putting hundreds of thousands of acres of power to help people. And we're putting them in land areas where there's nothing. So it's not like we're going to put them around buildings, but developers are using it. Again, they're like, oh, God, I'd rather have my own.
But you almost could too. I mean, that was one of the things that was occurring to me is I immediately correlated it with like you've seen the cell phone towers that, or maybe you haven't, I don't know, that they make to look like trees, so they blend into the environment. Now they have the opportunity to either blend it into the environment or even make it an artistic piece, a staple. And it's like there's a lot of land that is being dedicated that our tax dollars go to for ongoing maintenance and utilization in terms of the parks and everything else. And I'm like talking about the playground parks where, you could very sustainably put some of these little satellites in that could help offset and subsidize some of the tax related expenses that would help make the parks even better. I mean, just as one, my brain's running with different ideas or different applications, but it's really cool that you guys are looking at it from so many different aspects and creating an opportunity where the everyday person, it sounds like, can get in and become an investor in this new approach.
Yeah, just a referral. I'll put it out there. If you know people with a lot of land, so reach out to me, and then it's a commission program, affiliate program. We will take care of people that brings us land. Yeah, it's powerful, which I love. And Josh loves too. Josh well, that's a big part of this is, he always says 1% of $1 billion is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I don't need 50% of $1 billion. 1%, we're living pretty well.
Yeah, not bad. I agree. Well, Steve, thank you and the audience thank you for spending your time with us on the Perpetual Growth Podcast. A big shout out to my friend Steve Ramona for bringing so much value to today's conversation. Steve, where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about what you're working on?
Go to LinkedIn, Steve Ramona, Ramona, probably the only one out there. Connect with me there. I answer all. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I even had a guy this morning on my podcast. I'm going to put my email out. It says, email me anytime. I'm going to do the same thing. Steve, the letter R, 1961, my birth year, Steve R, 1961 at Gmail. Send me an email. You have a question. I do mentoring for podcasts and I do mentoring for business that are both free. If you want to be part of that, I get you connected, and let's all grow together. Let's perpetually grow together, and the world will be a better place. Thank you, Zach. You're awesome.
I appreciate it, Steve. You're a blessing, my friend. I know you've been an outstanding resource and guide and just human in my life. So I feel pretty blessed and grateful that we got to share some of your stories and experiences and insights with everybody here. Now, if this episode sparks something for you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, leave a review to help us reach even more people on their growth journey. And remember, growth doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. So we'll see you next time. And make sure you check out my friend Steve's podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. We'll see you next time.